In the top stories, Tropical Storm Philippe impacts the Federation. UN Security Council approves international security force for Haiti. And former U.S. President Trump shows up in court for opening arguments. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. I'm your presenter, Shanique Harvey. Nationally, early Tuesday, Tropical Storm Philippe passed the northeast of St. Kitts and Nevis, bringing with it tropical storm conditions, including gusty winds, heavy rains, and rough seas. Our cameras captured videos and images of the damage sustained at various locations. At Independence Square, several trees were seen toppled onto their sides, some ripped up from their roots, others with their trunks snapped in half. Staff of the Parks and Beaches unit were also seen clearing the debris and removing the trees for all persons to safely move through the square. Meanwhile, in downtown Bastir, debris such as leaves and other materials could be seen scattered about the streets. The shoreline along Newtown and Irish Town has been rough for most of Tuesday morning, with waves crashing into the Irish Town Bay Road. Meanwhile, Senior Met Officer Elmo Burke gave an update on Tropical Storm Philippe's movement and its impact on the Federation.
We do recognize that the center would have passed immediately over Barbuda as of 6 p.m. last night and move in a northwesterly direction. But the bulk of the weather associated with Tropical Storm Philippe is to the east and to the south of the system. So that is what have been causing the inclement weather for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis overnight and more so this morning. Additional thunderstorm and showers from what we are seeing is expected this afternoon, and as such we are asking the general public to exercise extreme caution.
National Disaster Coordinator at the National Emergency Management Agency, Abdel Samuel, gave a report on the damage that has been sustained around St. Kitts.
A number of down power lines. We have also witnessed and seen and received report of trees that are being down throughout the island. We also have seen areas that are prone to rockfall. Those areas are being assessed so that we could advise the public in terms of road users who may traverse these areas. We are also looking at our ports of entries. As you are aware, we are a tourism-based economy, so these type of weathers would affect our airlift into St. Kitts and Nevis. So we have been in consultation with CASPA, looking at the potential risks and threats of aircraft landing at the RLB International Airport.
That was National Disaster Coordinator at the National Emergency Management Agency, Abdel Samuel. Schools around the island are to remain closed due to the current weather conditions. This was announced by the National Emergency Management Agency, or NEMA, in an update on Tuesday morning. ZIZ had reached out to Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, who said schools have reported no damage following the passage of Tropical Storm Philippe. He also stated that schools are ready to reopen on Wednesday upon the advice of NEMA. Meanwhile, the agency also advised that the government should consider an early closure for all government offices. The government obliged and offices will be closed at 12 p.m. The private sector is being advised to do the same. The Met Office and NEMA stated that the weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis indicates that it will be cloudy to overcast with showers and thunderstorms as Tropical Storm Philippe continues to affect the area. They will continue to monitor the weather and provide more updates. Prime Minister and Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, recently spearheaded the donation of crucial equipment to benefit nursing students at the Division of Health Science Nursing Education Department at the Clarence Fitzroy Brand College, or CFBC. Recognizing the importance of maintaining high standards in healthcare education, the CFBC Division of Health Science and the St. Kitts Nevis The St. Kitts Nevis Student Nurses Association joined forces to seek donations that would enhance the services available to students in the nursing education department. Prime Minister Drew facilitated the acquisition of a new cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR training kit and intravenous or IV training arms for the nursing education department at CFBC. During the equipment handing over ceremony on Monday, Prime Minister Drew emphasized the significance of these resources.
I came basically to make a presentation of what you see here, simulation equipment, so that our nurses who are in training can learn effectively and to international standards. How do you revive a patient? How do you find a vein? How do you set up a drip system? And so this type of training is critical if we are to continue to produce quality nurses here as we seek to continue to improve our healthcare delivery.
The request for support was made through Ms. Marshallette Smith, who now serves as the Dean of the Division. She expressed gratitude on behalf of the college.
Life is important, and here at the Clarence Fitzgerald Bryan College, our nursing students actively learn basic life support, and for that, CPR equipment is very important. We're truly thankful to the Prime Minister and his office for the donation of our CPR mannequins as well as our IV cannulation system for our students. It's critical that our students are practicing to international standards to be able to recognize deterioration in signs of life and to intervene accordingly. So we're thankful for the opportunity to partner with the Prime Minister's office as we improve healthcare in St. Christopher and Nevis.
The donated equipment will also serve students in other programs offered at the division, including the Emergency Medical Responder or EMR and the Elderly Care Certificate courses. We move now to news on the regional scene. The United Nations Security Council on Monday authorized a foreign security mission to Haiti, a year after the Caribbean country asked for help to fight violent gangs that have largely overrun its capital, Port-au-Prince. More in this France 24 report.
The UN Security Council vote on Monday cleared the way to send a multinational force to Haiti to help combat violent gangs that continue to plague the Caribbean country. The Council voted by 13 in favour of the motion proposed by Ecuador, with China and Russia abstaining. The peacekeeping force will be headed by Kenya, which has pledged 1,000 police. Caribbean countries including Jamaica, Antigua, the Bahamas and Barbuda have also offered to help.
This mission comes at the request of the Haitian government and Haitian civil society to address the insecurity and dire humanitarian crisis the country has faced for far too long.
Haiti's foreign minister underlined the urgency of the situation.
On behalf of the government and the people of Haiti, I would like to thank all of those for their voices, their efforts, their support and their contribution of all sorts. They have finally made today's decision possible. This vote is more than just a simple vote. This is, in fact, an expression of solidarity with a population in distress.
The force should be in place by the end of the year for an initial duration of 12 months. Marauding gangs have plunged Haiti, one of the world's poorest country, into anarchy in recent years. More than 2,400 people have been killed in the country this year, and more than 950 people have been kidnapped.
Disaster and emergency officials in Barbados believe an assessment will have to be done to determine the safety of an area of land at Bush Hall Yard Gap, St. Michael. This after a large tree collapsed into a sinkhole in the area. More in this report.
This tree sinking into a hole at Bush Hall Yard Gap, St. Michael, is what alerted people who live in the area that something was wrong. One resident has had to be relocated as officials conduct their preliminary investigations.
And the area is also a residential house just to the east, just to the west of that sink, and it has caused fissures to the property as well. We have since then evacuated the occupant, and we are in the process of securing housing for that individual. At present, we are conducting assessments to determine the extent of the hollows that we are noticing as a result of the collapse. We have one that is trending in the southeastern direction and one that is tending in the southwestern direction.
The hydrologist with the Ministry of the Environment, Nigel Jones, said he had recommended the tree be removed, but the COVID pandemic intervened.
I had actually toured the cave, and I recognized that the root system was actually in the cave, and it was only a matter of time before it collapsed.
Officials have established a perimeter from the center of the collapse to keep large vehicles from making the situation worse.
I believe that a thorough assessment would have to be made of the area. It is my understanding that the area is replete with caves, as Barbados is, being the type of place that it is. But an assessment will have to be done, especially for the properties that are in the vicinity of this collapse, to determine their level of safety, so that those persons who occupy those properties will operate in a safe manner.
Deputy Chief Fire Officer Henderson Patrick says part of the assessment will involve the use of drone technology, and they will be working with the Barbados Police Service to identify areas of concern. He says access to the area will now have to be managed as they work to trim and remove the tree. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Internationally, a defiant Donald Trump attacked New York's Attorney General and the judge overseeing his civil fraud trial as it began on Monday, with a state lawyer accusing the former president of generating more than $100 million by lying about his real estate empire. More in this France 24 report.
Dismissing the proceedings as a sham, a defiant Donald Trump lashed out as the first day of his civil fraud trial wrapped up. He insisted that he did nothing wrong.
There's no case here. There's no victim. The banks aren't a victim. The insurance companies are a victim. Everybody got paid. It has been very successful for them because they took me off the campaign trail. Because I've been sitting in the courthouse all day long instead of being in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, or a lot of other places I could be at.
The business mogul turned politician has been accused of inflating his wealth by hundreds of millions of dollars in order to secure more favorable loans and pay lower insurance premiums and lower taxes. After being found liable for one case of fraud, Trump is now facing 6 other claims, including falsifying business records, issuing false financial statements, and committing insurance fraud. The New York Attorney General is seeking a $250 million fine and a permanent ban against Trump and his 2 sons, Donald Jr. and Eric, from operating businesses in the state. Analysts say there's more than just money at stake in this case.
Even though this case is just about money, it's still very important to the president's reputation. Part of his charm is that he is an amazing businessman. And if members of the public think that it was all fraud or all smoke and mirrors and he was inflating the values of his businesses, that can hurt him both politically and in terms of public perception.
Trump's former longtime accountant, Michael Bender, testified on Monday, the first of dozens of witnesses expected to do so over the next 3 months. Should Trump be found liable, he risks losing several iconic properties, including Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue.
U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy faced a direct threat to his leadership when hardline fellow Republican Representative Matt Gaetz called for a vote to oust him, injecting an additional element of chaos into Congress. More in this Reuters report.
U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy faced the biggest threat to his speakership so far from hardline critics within his party on Monday, in what seemed to be political punishment after he'd worked with Democrats to avoid a government shutdown over the weekend. Far-right Republican Matt Gaetz called for McCarthy to be ousted. He began a process to force a vote on whether the speaker should keep his post.
Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant. Resolved that the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives is hereby declared to be vacant.
It would take just 5 Republican votes to threaten McCarthy's hold on power if all Democrats voted against him. Hardliners seethed that McCarthy relied on Democratic votes on Saturday to pass a temporary funding extension to head off a partial government shutdown. McCarthy also didn't impose any of the spending cuts or changes to border security that the hardliners had called for. The House Speaker said he expects to survive the leadership challenge and wrote "Bring it on social media. The squabble over funding is just an extension of a long-running feud McCarthy has had with far-right colleagues. Gates and about 24 Republicans forced McCarthy in January to endure a withering 15 rounds of voting before he was elected Speaker, and not before squeezing in concessions that would let any House member to call for a vote to oust him. No U.S. House Speaker has been removed from the position, which is second in line in succession for the presidency after the Vice President. It's also unclear whether any Democrats would vote to back McCarthy after he'd upset them last month by launching an impeachment inquiry of President Joe Biden.
And now for the weather. Present weather is overcast skies with light rain. Temperature is 28 degrees Celsius or 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are a fresh breeze of 20 miles per hour from a southwesterly direction. Seas are 1.8 to 3.1 meters or 6 to 10 feet. Mariners should continue to stay in port and sea bathers should avoid the beaches. Tropical Storm Philippe continues to affect the area. It will support cloudiness, showers, and thunderstorms across the Virgin Islands, Leeward Islands, and Windward Islands today and tonight. Weather forecast in St. Kitts and Nevis for today will be cloudy to overcast with showers and thunderstorms. Tonight will be cloudy with showers and a low chance of thunderstorms. Sunset today will be at 5:58 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:01 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your presenter, Shanique Harvey.